Hey folks, it's Jeremy Kirkland. How you doing? You're listening to Blammo. Wow. First off, I gotta do my gratitude here. Thanks for the just overwhelming amount of kind words and feedback from my recent solo pod. If you're new here, in addition to our free show, we have a Patreon where we host the Triple J show, and Derek Guy and Peter Zotolo do the Die Workwear show. There's other stuff in there, but I also have this like solo pod that I'll run, which is literally just me riffing, and I'm now going to be doing these a lot more thanks to the really kind words. But, the pods, they get a little off the rails. I do my best to update folks on what's happening behind the scenes in my life and what I'm buying, what I'm shopping, what music I'm listening to. And I talk about our upcoming 10-year celebration that we're doing end of next year. Because it'll be 10 years. Can you believe that? And we're also coming up on 500 episodes, which, depending on, what podcast you listen to or whatever, they're like, yeah, big deal. 500. That's child's play. Hit me with the real stuff. Yeah, man. But for me, that's a lot. That's a lot of chit in the chat. But thought we'd I'd highlight this week a very special, close, good friend of mine who I gotta say, now he's becoming this rock star. Like, I'm just gonna say it. His name's Sean Dunnevant. He runs GLOM. He also does a lot of the stuff behind the scenes here at Blammo, and he's an incredible musician. I'm so glad he's here. He's got his new album coming out, and initially I was like, dude, we got to have Sean on as like the 500th episode, because we're super close. He knows how to chat. He's a good hang. I mean, which is really all it takes to be a podcast guest. You know what I mean? You got to be a good hang. And Sean is very much a good hang. But yeah, so he's on the pod this week. And I'll say this because I'm realizing it now. I talked to a friend of mine the other day, and I told him, I was like, pod is like got Sean from GLOM on. And he was like, what? Like, he was a little caught off guard. He's like, are you fucking kidding? And I was like, whoa, first off, I got my kids over there. Easy on the language there. But yeah, he was losing his mind. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's Sean. He's the guy. And so I'm super glad he's here. I'm laying it on thick because I love him to death. And I'm very glad he's here. There's going to be a great pod. We talk about his new album. We talk about little behind the scenes stuff that happens here. And we get into the Beatles. If you're a Beatles guy or not a Beatles guy or whatever, strap in, man. Buckle up, because we're talking about all sorts of music and good stuff. In addition to clothes and his background, working at Self-Edge and being a denim guy. It's all in there. I'm so glad we got Sean Dunnevant from GLOM. Let's go. Sean, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Good, man. It's good. I'm super glad we're doing this pod. So for listeners and everything else, you're kind of behind the scenes on Blammo, in addition to behind the scenes on a lot of our friends' content.
They refer to the menswear industrial complex as if it's a hypothetical thing, like an ethereal thing, but it's here.
Yeah,
it's right
is.
Here, we're looking
and you're GLOM. You're also the artist, the musician, which I would assume is significantly far more important in your life than being the cam guy and the video guy for all of menswear.
It's funny about that though, because like it's connected. It's all connected. Like, the weird thing that's happened in my life in the last I would say like 3 years is that every single like stepping stone of my career has all been like tangentially connected to like clothes. So that's why I think it's like a really fascinating thing,
Okay. What do you mean?
Okay. Well, I used to work as the manager at Self-Edge, New York. And I worked there for about 5 years. And because of that, I met you. And because of that, I also met my lawyer. And because of that...
Wait, you met your lawyer through Self-Edge?
Yeah. He was a customer. And it was funny because like he started coming in a lot, just like popping in and like checking out the store and stuff like that. And I was like, what do you do? And he said, I'm an entertainment lawyer. And I was like, oh, cool. I have a band, And then, as everyone does. And basically I, told him about the band. And this was like when I first met him, it was probably like 2022.
Okay.
And we met at the store, and then I told him about the band and stuff like that. And then like several years later, like when things with the band started getting a little bit more I don't want to say serious, because I was serious the whole time, but like when things started getting a little bit more crucial, you could say.
Yeah.
I was like texting him about it, and he was like, you should just come to the office and like we should like really talk about this, because this is going to get really hard for you if you don't have someone helping you. Yeah. And
oh, yeah.
And it did get really hard. Like, I'm not going to lie, it did get really hard. And so he they take care of me there now. So that's why it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, met him there.
And it's a legit, I mean, I won't blow his spot up, but it's not a mom and pop sort of law firm.
No.
Like you got serious representation now, dude.
The thing that's crazy about it, and like I'm not even trying to flex this, this is just like a funny story that happened the other day. I was reading the Thurston Moore memoir, and in the memoir, he like shouts out them, like that law firm, and I was like, this is hilarious. Like I was like, you didn't even mention this to me. Like, this is my favorite band, and you didn't even say anything about this. And then like when I saw him in person the other day, he was like, oh yeah, it's been like that since the '80s. And I was like, okay, sick. That's great. That's great. That's great news.
Yeah. So menswear stuff and clothes, this was all, I mean, because you were into menswear and denim and all this stuff before you were working at Self Edge, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because where are you from?
I'm from the DC area. And being half Filipino in the DC area means that you are surrounded by like the Swagapino phenomenon. And like people...
Wait, what is the Swagapino phenomenon?
It was like a it still exists. Let's be real. Okay. I definitely self-identify as a Swagapino still. But in like the, 2003 to 2000, I don't know, I would say like 2009 was like the peak of it. Like people would be like, the Filipino community was really into sneakers and really into Jordans and really into like streetwear in general, like Supreme and every other brand that doesn't exist anymore. Like that was like that. Right. And so I remember I went to a Filipino church when I was a kid, and
oh, nice.
All of the older kids were like, they would show up. Like church was like the invitation, and it was the forum to be like showing off all your stuff, your Johns, and so like people would be like rolling up into church wearing like 10 deep starter jackets or not varsity jackets, 10 deep varsity jackets, and like Nike SBs, like with the beginning of Nike SB, and like people would be wearing that to church, or like LRG pants and like stuff like that. And I remember like that was when I got exposed to that at like 12 years old or like 11 years old.
Prime age.
Oh yeah. And I was like, this is sick. Like all these older kids like had all this stuff. And I was like, I want to get some of that stuff. Like, where can you get that? And in DC, like you couldn't get it anywhere. Like at the time, there was one store that was called, Up Against the Wall. And they sold like A Life, and they sold like, I think they sold like resale Supreme, but they like didn't like really advertise that. But like they sold A Life for real, and they sold like Bape and like all these Kid Robot, like all these brands. And then like by the time I hit high school and like kind of like was kind of able to like do like odd jobs and stuff for money. Like I remember me and my friends like started scheming about like how to like get money to buy like stuff like this. And we all got jobs at the grocery store, like the local grocery store, just to be able to buy like clothes and stuff like that. And so, to make a long story short, like that was when I, started getting really into Nike SB. Like it was like 9th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. And I would save up all my money to buy like Nike SBs that were on clearance at CCS. I don't know if remember CCS.
Yeah, I remember.
They're still around. But I would like get those catalogs in the mail, and I'd be like, oh my God, like this SB is like $30 right now. I have to like save up for this. And so I like would save up like literally like lunch money at school, like not eat lunch and like stuff like that. By the way, when I worked at that grocery store, I worked for like 3 weeks and the paycheck was $0. So yeah.
Wait. How is that?
There were like union fees that you had to pay. And so like the first month paycheck was like so much money was removed from it that like it was usually $0, for like everyone that worked there, especially if you were under the age of like 17 or 18. And like I was working there when I was 15. And so, yeah.
There was unions for like bag boys.
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Grocery store union.
Yeah, man. Wow. I think I remember some of that stuff because my brother worked at a grocery store.
It was wild. Like I remember like when we
Yeah.
all got our paychecks, we were like, I worked less than my one friend and we all opened the paychecks at the same time and his paycheck was like $51 and like mine was zero, like literally zero. And there was still like another, like an additional amount of money that I owed for the next paycheck. And I was like, I'm not coming back. And so I just never came back. But yeah. And then that was when, you know, I started getting in, you know, what as one does when they can't really like afford to buy the stuff that they want, they get deep on the forums, you know? And so I got really deep on the forums and I was really into NikeSB.org, which was like, it was like Nike Talk, except more for just SBs. And like, there was like definitely more like skaters on there. And I was also really into skateboarding. That's another part of this, but.
Were you actually skating or were you just into
I was actually skating. I was actually skating for sure.
That's awesome.
And I still, the craziest thing, like, you know, we can segue into this later, but like the friends that I made skateboarding, like I'm still friends with them, which is like the craziest thing about it. Like so many things that have like happened in the last, like I've reconnected with so many of them over the last couple of years, like when we started touring and stuff, that it's like pretty remarkable, you know? But anyways,
that's amazing.
And because of that, this is how it gets like even more crazy, because I always bring this up to Andrew Chen and Kia about this, because like when I was on those forums, like that was how I found out about Self Edge and how I found out about jeans. Like, because like people on those forums would be rocking Selvage. Like they'd be all wearing like, I don't know, any of the companies that were big in like 2007, like 2008, like Flathead and like stuff like that. And Andrew and Kia were like big on there, like not on Nike SB, but they were like big on like Super Talk. And that was another forum that I was into when I was a kid.
Future?
Yeah, Super Future. Yeah. I joined that forum like so early that you didn't have to pay. Yeah. Because like now you have to pay to get like on there.
You have to pay to be on?
I think that like a couple years ago, you had to like pay like a subscription or like a membership fee. But like when I joined, you didn't have to. So that's why I was like, okay, that was a long time ago, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely got to shout out Kia. I mean, obviously Andrew and Johan, but like Kia is, I think a lot of people, you know, especially now because of how big Self Edge is.
Yeah.
Like just globally, but also, you know, all throughout North America. People do not realize that Kia was like, he was the customer. And I would say he was one of the first dudes who was very much like fanboy, legit denim head, and then starts the industry. And then also, I think for most people, you know, because now it's like you start a brand and you start doing like, you know, Google ads or Meta ads or, you know, YouTube and all this other stuff. And Kia, like day one, was basically just a forum dude. And I remember on Super Future and on like Style Forum and all these other things, there would be new products coming in and he would be like, people wanted it so bad. There would be like pre-sales for the stuff before it dropped.
Yep.
And he would be doing like special edition stuff. I mean, Kia was like doing the collabs on all these Japanese brands that would never, ever do a collab.
Absolutely.
And in many ways now only are open to doing collabs because they had worked with Kia and they know that like you can actually do something like this and not compromise your brand and still like huge shout out to Kia as just like one of the original like goats.
No, I definitely like 100% agree with you. And the craziest thing about it, like to go off of it and not necessarily like gas him or any of them up, it's just like they started it. And like in the United States, like I like not like people don't like really realize that, but like it was like,
definitely not.
It wasn't a thing before like they were posting about it online and like buying it and selling it in the United States, which is like crazy. And that's how I got obsessed with it because of them, you know? And so that's why it was like really like trippy to start working for them and then being like, and then like becoming close with them and being like, whoa, this is like, these are like people that like, you know, like what's funny about it is that like to like the average person, like they're like, who are these people, you know? But like to me, like they were like heroes of mine. They were like influencers and stuff like that. But like they weren't like, you know, celebrities that way, you know?
Well, and now, and I think this is, you know, because of the stuff that you made, like the videos and the video styles that you were doing when you were working at Self Edge. I mean, and this isn't, you know, this is totally public knowledge where it's like, now you're the dude that's making that for them and you don't even work there anymore.
Yeah.
And I think also, and this is a testament because like Kia does not, you know, this is no shade, but Kia does not like jump into a new medium or a new type of communication style or any of that stuff unless he's 100% confident that it works.
Yeah.
Like his risks that he takes are so calculated.
Yep.
that he would only do it if it's like, okay, there's proof here that it works. There's proof here that it works.
Yeah.
And the stuff that you were doing with just like, because this is the other thing to talk about too, where it's like you like kind of helped pioneer this like man on the street, like in a non-pejorative way, like video style.
Yeah.
On like head style menswear that no one was really doing. And it was also like half comedy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think like that's the stuff too, where it really took off because people were following you kind of like similar, like Throwing Fit stuff is like, oh, I didn't even know that dude was in a band or that dude was doing this stuff. Like he was just making funny videos or he was finding like really quirky, goofy dudes that were shopping at Self Edge and asking them about their jeans, you know? And it was like, it's such a micro universe that I think like to make content that's good for like the nerdy heads, but also for people who are just like casually browsing it and see it and they get it. Like that's a really hard thing to do.
Well, I appreciate you saying that because like my mentality behind it, and this goes into GLOM too. It's like my mentality with like the content strategy and stuff like that. Like not to get too like, you know, deep into it. It's just like I want it to be like real in like a funny way. Like because like realistically, like there's like that Nathan Fielder like thing where he talks about like the longer you keep a camera on someone, then like they'll just keep talking, you know?
Yeah.
And so that is kind of what ended up happening with all those like Self Edge videos because of the fact that like when I film them with like the customer, like the person that's just like in the store that's wearing the clothes, I don't tell them like what to say. I'm just like, all right, I'm going to start filming. Like you just introduce yourself and start talking. And then like 90% of the time they just say something like funny, you know, because like a lot of people's like response to that kind of thing is just to try to be funny at least a little bit, and then it works out pretty well sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't,
especially when it's like,
you know,
it's funny to them,
right,
but it's not funny to everyone else,
right,
which then makes it funny to everyone else.
Yep.
Like very, you know, Kaufman sort of, you know, style where you're just like, okay, there's, I don't know. I think especially in the content world of someone trying to explain their entire bit in the 15 to 30 seconds,
right,
it's so interesting. Like everyone's like, no, I don't care about that now. Like you don't need to establish your credibility for something. Who is it that was saying it was like, oh, you can tell how old the person is if they introduce themselves on the video. And I was like, that's so lame. And then I looked at videos that I had done in the past and I was like, fuck, I introduced myself.
Yeah, I definitely like, I feel like, you know, with content in general these days, like there's so much content out there every day. Like there's like, you know, probably thousands and thousands of videos that get posted. I just feel like the content that I like is usually stuff that's, I don't know, like it doesn't I'm not trying to say that like I don't like polished content, but it's just like there's so much content that is like hugely like rehearsed and edited that I'm like, this is boring to me. This isn't real life. And people think that that's real life. And so that's why my whole mentality behind a lot of this stuff, you know, music and other just art in general, is just like I appreciate it when it's off the cuff in a way. Like just because like, I don't know, like how many times can you watch a video where it's like the perfect take of it, you know? I don't want to see that. I want to see like the first take. I want to see like how like flustered someone can get like at first, you know, and watch the plane land, but like you don't realize that the plane's even taken off, you know?
Yeah, it's interesting because also you think now we're in this kind of like age of, I don't know, keep saying content, but like, you know, videos or whether it's something on Netflix or streaming services or like primetime television. And it's like, if it's on a TV in my mind, like if it's on a TV and it's on like a streaming service, I want it to fit everything else that's in that world.
Right.
And if it's on my phone, I want it to fit everything else that I'm used to seeing on my phone.
Yep.
So it's like, make the phone UGC stuff, make it like basic, make it shaky cameras. Right. You know, it's funny now because did you see that video, that person who had brought the Ring camera to the Oasis show?
No, I didn't, but that sounds really funny.
So like people are bringing lo-fi cameras, and even now you're seeing like young, like Gen Alpha, Gen Z folks bringing like shaky, you know, non-HD video cams, recording shit, and then ripping that and posting that to whatever. And people are like, oh, I'm way more interested in this.
Right.
You know
what's funny about it too is that there was when we were on tour in Savannah this year, there was like there's definitely been like a trend at GLOM shows recently where it's like the crowd is definitely getting younger, right? And
Okay.
which is
Is that good or bad?
It's good. It's good.
Okay, it's good.
Because that kind of shows to me that the content, strategy is kind of working because like, you gotta, I don't know, like, I don't really know the full philosophy behind it, but like basically like this group of like younger kids came to a show. And then like after the show, I saw like all these tagged videos that were taken on like a Cool Pix camera. But no sound,
nice.
no sound, just like videos like holding it up like this. And like, it's like the worst footage like ever, but like they posted it and they were stoked on it. And like, that's something that I really resonate with because like, I don't know, like I just like appreciate when people use like social media as like actually what it was for, which was like the scrapbook of your life, not like a promotional machine. And so I find it like really funny that like these kids in Savannah were like posting these videos that were like the worst video you've ever, like no one would ever like, that would never go viral or anything like that. But it's just like, it's really funny to me to see that being used that way. And I appreciate it a lot.
Yeah, man. You can always count on the youthful rebellion.
Oh, yeah.
Especially now where it's like, who is it? The other day, I was around my niece and nephew, and they're like, I don't know, 16 and 18 or 17 and 18 or whatever. And I was asking them about like video stuff that they're using. And they more or less were kind of just shat on Instagram because they're like, yeah, that's kind of like what my parents use. And they're also like, yeah, my parents are like adults use their phone too much. And you're just like, oh shit, the kids are all right.
Yeah. They there's definitely a trend away from it, which is kind of nice, because I don't know, like my parents are obsessed with Facebook. Like it took them like a long time.
Most parents are.
Yeah. And in the last, maybe 10 years, they got really into it and they like post on Facebook every day, multiple times a day, like pictures and like stuff like that. And I found it really funny that on my birthday, there was two things that happened that were really funny. One of them was that when I got engaged, they posted the picture that I sent them on Facebook. And then my mom like texted me and she's like, look, we got 100 likes on this photo. And I was like, what do you care about the likes for? Like, it's just not like that doesn't validate anything. But like, I just find it. And then on my birthday, it was like a similar thing where it was like, look, so many people like said happy birthday to you. And I'm like, that's great. Like, I don't really know these people. Like, I don't know who they are. Like, it doesn't really mean anything to me, but that's great that you like it, And now they're on Instagram. So I had to block them. But it was a different thing. That's a different story.
It's true. I'll get hit up by, some folks that I knew when I was a kid and they're on Instagram. And I can tell also because their comments are letters where it's like they sign their name and stuff. And here's the thing, like this is not like beating up on the boomers. Like I want to be very clear. That's not the thing. But it's just interesting seeing how there's like different communication styles through these age demos.
Yep.
Where, someone will message me something like that. And you're just like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess that's cool to be amped about it. But
I just find it funny because that is a really good like trend that is a trend to notice because of the fact that like you can always tell like a lot of times like when I post a video, like not so much on like any of the other accounts, but like on like the GLOM page, like I can automatically tell the age off the comment without even clicking on like the profile to see. Cause it's like, if someone like writes like a really like, it's also cause like, like a lot of like the jokes that I like to use end up being like kind of meme-esque in a way. And like a lot of times like on TikTok, like the demographic on TikTok is generally younger. And so they get the joke, but then on Instagram, like they don't get the joke. And so they're like, what do you like, what do you like some, like I'll make like a kind of like a self-deprecating joke about something, and then like I'll get DMs where it was like, you don't need to like think like this, it's all good, I'm like, well, this is like a joke, like this is a meme like online, like it's part of a thing, it's a bigger thing, but I appreciate it, thank you, and it's just funny, it's funny to see.
Well, like that's some of the stuff to talk about too, where obviously GLOM, your band, you are playing, you were writing, you made a record, and then you kind of more or less, I mean, the record's good. It's very good. But I think for listeners who don't know or have like paid too much attention to this, I mean, I used to work in the music industry and, I was involved and around like the marketing departments, and because I worked at Beggars, and a cool thing that they did at Beggars is like everyone got to be in those meetings.
Mhm.
But what you saw is how hard it is to like market, I'm air quoting that word,
Mhm.
basically to like get the word out about a band
Yeah.
or like what's happening. And this is actually the same way with movies.
Yep.
I have friends that work on the film and entertainment industry, and they're like, dude, it is so hard. It's easy to make a movie,
Yep.
which is crazy to even say.
Yep.
And they're like, but it's so hard to just get people to know about it and get people to understand it. And like, so whether it's a collaboration with this or an event or an activation or whatever, even those, they cost so much money. They're not really that effective.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, cool. Someone collaborated with like a candy bar. Like, okay, I guess that makes sense.
Mhm.
And so everyone's like trying to figure out how to get the word out about good music. And so you make this incredible record, which you've sat on for a while. And then you kind of slowly were just using it
Mhm.
in the background of your videos.
Yep.
And like, I am really curious how that went. I mean, obviously you're signed now.
Yes.
So that part worked.
Yeah, that works.
So what happened?
This is something that I've been trying to like chronicle myself, because like I don't exactly know. I know what I did, but I don't know why it worked, which is I think the funny part about this whole thing. And basically going off what you said, I don't think people realize that it actually is really easy to make an album. And it is really easy to make a movie or whatever like that. I've never made a movie, but I'm just saying like that's not the hard part. Like obviously like when you're in it, it's difficult and it's frustrating, but the hardest part of the entire industry is making people aware of what the product is, or the project, or whatever you want to say,
Yeah.
And so basically what happened was I finished the record. This was like, got the mixes done in like November of 2023. Right. And then this is where it got funny. So I hit like a, kind of like a weird period where I was feeling stagnant. Like nothing was working. The show like weren't really like playing like good shows, like nothing like that. And then one day we played a show in New York, and I had this blankets. For no reason, like literally don't know why I said this. And if you want to believe in like determinism or divinity or whatever, like you can attribute it to this. I was standing outside that bar Pianos, because we had just played there. And I said to the drummer in GLOM, we're going to be really big. That's what I said. Right. And I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know why I said that. And he was like, okay, like what, because I would say crazy. I say crazy things like that all the time. I'm very hyperbolic. And that was on December. Wait, sorry. I got to go backwards real quick. That was on December 7th, that show. And December 6th, sorry. That day I woke up, December 7th, I woke up and someone had DM'd me and was like, hey, I don't know if you are into comedy, but somebody just shouted you out on the Bill Burr podcast. Right. And I was like, this is made up. Like, this is definitely fake or whatever. Right. But then they sent the link.
Oh, I remember this.
This is crazy. Yeah. This is still like, this is the beginning of it, because like the person posted that or DM'd that to me, and I went and on the link and he sent like the timestamp, and on the timestamp, it was a shout out. Like it legit was a shout out with like a full spelling of the name. Like my, I'm friends with the guy now, but like at the time I had never met the comedian or anything like that. His name's Gavin. And he was like, Bill Burr asked him, like, what kind of music are you listening to these days? And for some reason, the only person that he brought up was GLOM, right? The only musical artist that he brought up was GLOM. And he spelled it out too. He's like, I really like them. And the funny thing about that video is that Bill Burr was just like, oh, okay. And then they moved on immediately. Didn't ask any more questions, like nothing like that.
No follow-up.
No follow-up. Just like, oh,
sure.
Okay, cool.
Of course you do.
Okay, hey, I got a little secret. Feel free to even turn the volume up for a second. I'm into loafers, folks. I like a little slippy slide for my dress shoes. I'll throw on a pair when I want to dress up some denim or when I want to dress down a suit. But my go-to loafers are from Grant Stone. Family-owned and operated, Grant Stone are usually known for their incredible Goodyear welted boots. The diesel boot is a personal favorite of mine. But they're Goodyear welted because they're easy to replace, and they make footwear that will last a lifetime. But for me, my Grant Stones are my loafies. This spring, I've been wearing their classic horsebit loafers. And while yes, Grant Stone is an e-com company, Grant Stone's services are the best I've ever had. It was easy. You can email their staff, you can let them know what your size is, because you're like, I don't know, am I this size? reach out to them and they will get you sorted in whatever you're looking for. Plus, they make their footwear in a variety of widths, so you can even get your big hobbit feet fitting nice and comfy. So grab a pair and enjoy the fact that you bought shoes that will last for ages with their Goodyear welted construction, incredible leathers, and a footbed that molds nice to your foot. You can even repair these shoes years later when you need them, so you can wear big fits for years. Grant Stone has it all. So visit grantstoneshoes.com to learn more. That's grantstoneshoes.com. Oh, what's my next pair? Espresso suede penny loafers from Grant Stone.
And then I posted that, and that went pretty well, you know. And then like that night was when I said that thing to Jordan where I said we're going to be really big or whatever, right? And then the next day, for no apparent reason, I took a video that we had recorded of us playing the song Glass and just posted it with like a joke on top of it, right? Because like I don't know, it was like the joke was
it was a like meme worthy joke.
It was a meme
it fit
joke.
in with the other memes.
Men, you know, men would literally invent a new genre instead of going to therapy, right? And that video went really big for me. Like it's you know, did
millions.
It's a couple million, right?
Yeah.
And then from that point on, that was when everything started moving forward. Like got like the next week, literally like started talking with agents, like and stuff.
Did people just hit you up from that where it's like, hey, I saw your video? Or
well, this is what really happened. So we played a show in DC. My friend from high school is the booker at a venue called like the Atlantis in 930 Club.
Is that the old Black Cat?
It's the old 930 Club, and they rebuilt it to be a replica of the original 930 Club from the 80s. So it's like small. It's like a 400 cap room. And we had been,
That's awesome.
He booked us there. It's like he
big show.
It was a big show. It was a lot of fun. And then he was like, I hadn't seen him in a while. And at that point, like he definitely like has, you know, he tried to help us out like a lot. Like he got us some good shows. Like we opened for Block Party. We opened for a band called Wonder Horse. And the funny thing about Wonder Horse is that Wonder Horse is like really big now. But like when we opened for them, like it was like they sold out Mercury Lounge, but now they're playing like stadiums in the UK and stuff like that.
Whoa.
Yeah. They were nice, you know. They didn't
that's good.
They didn't have to have us on the show, but they liked it. So whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And then so he was like, so what's up? Like, what have you been up to? And I was like, well, like, you know, things have been going pretty well, but this video is going viral. And he was like, what video is going viral? He's not on Instagram. And he's like, what video is going viral? And I was like, oh, this video. And I showed it to him. And he's like, okay, let me make some calls. Let me
okay, like it was good, or okay, just like I don't get it.
No, he was like, okay, like the wheels are spinning, like in his head. Okay. He's like, okay, I'll be back, you know. And he like went to his office, and then he came back, and basically like he handed me the phone, and he was like, this guy wants to talk to you. And I was like talking to him, and then it became like that was our agent now. But like back then, like he was like, you know, he was like asking me, like it was just like a funny phone call because like he put the phone up to my ear and he just started asking me all these questions. He's like, how old are you? Like how big do you want to be? Like stuff like that, you know. Like, who do you like?
Are you an adult?
Yeah, he's like,
do you want to be a star, kid?
Yeah. Well, no, basically, like the funny thing about it, like, you know, we can go into this later. This is about like sustainability and stuff like that. He was like, how big do you want to be? And I was like, I don't know. I think like a good, reasonable goal is to be playing and selling out like 3,000 cap rooms in the next like 10 years. Right. And then he was like, that's very doable. And then he was like, okay, let me listen to the record. And then like a week later, like they signed us. Right. And, but what was funny about it is that the whole reason why that phone call happened was because when my friend sent him the video, he was like, I've already seen this, like somebody else sent it to me. And so that was why he was like, okay, like we got to like move on this, you know, like there's something, this guy who's been making stupid videos for the last like 5 years, like finally had one do well, you know? And so that's what happened.
That's crazy. And it's like also, you know, I have a couple buddies who are still, you know, in the music industry. And it's interesting because like there's this conversation that is ensuing across, I don't know, legacy is not the right word I would want to use, but it's tough to find a different one. Like, you know, bands that were really big and maybe have a new record coming out, but they were big before social media.
Right.
And so like, okay, Radiohead's a good example, right? So like a huge band before social media, and now everyone's more or less is unfortunately glued to social media.
Right.
And so they're like talking to these like huge bands and they're like, hey, what's your strategy, or do you have a strategy for social media? And a lot of these bands are like, are you fucking kidding? Like,
Yep.
that's crazy. And
Yep.
then you have all these young bands, and they, young as in like newer to the industry.
Right.
And they're like, yeah, here's our social media plan. And it's interesting because like everyone, no matter what, whether you want to exist or not, if you want to be in the entertainment industry on music or films or acting or whatever, you unfortunately have to be on social media. And only the biggest people ever, like Paul Rudd doesn't have social media,
Right.
It's like, yeah, because you're big enough and you don't audition for films anymore. You don't have to, or you're a band like Radiohead, even though they do have social, that like, yeah, you can just say you're going to play a show and everything sells out in a minute.
Yeah.
So it's interesting seeing that. And there's like basically these arguments that go back and forth with some of these bands being like, I don't want to fucking figure out social.
Yeah.
But then you have bands like Chromeo.
Yep.
Like Dave One was like, yo, like out of nowhere, a song that, what is it, 10 years old or something?
Yep. Just blew
Fancy Footwork
Blew up.
blows up
Yep.
so much that they like do another tour to get people excited who are demanding it.
Yep.
And they're just playing that old record.
Yeah.
They're doing a tour of the previous record, And so it's just so weird in the music business and entertainment business now where like people want old stuff as well as new stuff. Like, like the timeline is almost irrelevant now.
Yeah, I think that the thing that's really inspirational to me is the fact that nowadays, more so than before, I think, more so than like the real rise of like pre-rise of social media, it's like now like songs have like an infinite shelf life more so than they did before. And I think that like what's very interesting about it is that I didn't have that mindset prior to getting like active on social media because, everything that we had released as a band before, I was under the impression that like, oh, like I'll post it. Like if it doesn't like, if the song doesn't do well, then like we'll move on and just move on to another song. That's not the way that you should think about it. Like, and that's why I posted that Glass guitar riff every day for 2 years is because like, yo, you don't know, you have no idea. Like you look at also the history of like, you look at every band that's big now. And the thing that's like big in 2025, that's like not a legacy act, right? Like Chappell Roan or like any like Turnstile, even like any of those bands. It's like with Chappell Roan specifically, those songs that blew up were 2 years old before they even blew up. And so that's why it's like you can't just throw away a song because it didn't do well the first time. And I think that that's like something that is a really interesting mindset. That's like why it keeps me going with it, because I'm like, okay, just because it's not doing well now doesn't mean that it's not going to do well in 5 years. Like someone could discover it later and then it become a thing, and that's why it's like, you got to just play this game. Unfortunately, I mean, I say unfortunately, but I like doing it. I like posting videos every day because like realistically speaking with music, it's like you work on it so hard for so long and then it takes like years for it to come out. And so you don't get that instant gratification of seeing like the real feedback of like, what it is and like how people like take what you just released. But with a video, it's like, that's like every day there's a slot machine and like every day you post this video and then like, yeah, the riff could do well, or yeah, the meme could do well, or it doesn't. You just go back the next day and do it again. And that's something that like I really like enjoy about it. I like I have to like really like hammer it home. Like I like content. Like people in the music industry specifically like really like to shit on it, but it's like, it's fun if you know how to do it right, and that's why.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think it's a part of the art now, like how you play your song and how, I mean, it's the same thing when you would have, and I think this is where you see like some stubbornness of older bands who almost like refuse to evolve, because I remember back then, and this wasn't even that long ago, right? So this is like 2008, I'm there, and they would like, hey, look, we need people to play this song on the radio. And, and at the time people were like, radio, like nobody cares about that. Like it's digital, it's the blogs.
Yep.
It's, it's making a video with LeBlogotech, or it's being on Gorilla versus Bear. It's being on that stuff.
Yep.
And even then, they would be singing the same song every day over and over again, getting people to try to listen to it. And like this goes in menswear too, where like Ralph Lauren would always talk about, in order to kind of like make some of this stuff stick, like, like the phrase they would use is like, you almost need to like hit someone over the head with the same style over and over and over again to get people to understand it because, not everyone's going to pay attention to something at the same time. And a lot of people respect things that don't change. I would say, like, in my opinion, some of the shittiest brands are the brands that more or less try to reinvent themselves every new season, where it's like, oh, you don't have any opinion. You're just trying to do whatever everyone else is doing versus, actually being committed to your craft, whether it's clothes or music or whatever. And I think people totally forget about that because it's like, and I need to be on, I need to be on Blue Sky.
Right.
I need to be on this. It's like, dude, just keep making videos.
Just stay in your lane.
Look at Mike Nouveau, man.
Yeah.
He made a video every day and still does and is like now the king of vintage Cartier.
The craziest thing about it is that I remember when he started making videos because at first, like, he's
a self-edge guy.
Yeah, that's how I met him at Self Edge like years ago. Yeah, like in like 2020, and basically he would ask me for help on like how to edit videos and stuff like that, and then I didn't like. I've definitely shot some videos for him in the past and edited some videos for him, but I remember like when it started. I remember when he was making those videos, and now he's the one that's creating these trends in watches, which is like insane. It's just because like he stayed consistent to his lane and like stayed in like keep doing like there's that, I don't want to like necessarily like, shout out Seth Rogen, but the Seth Rogen quote was like, if you quit or if you keep doing it, you might make it. And if you don't, you definitely won't. Or if you quit, you definitely won't, and it's like, that's a really like true statement. And I agree with it. Like, especially when you like, look at examples of like friends of ours or like, stuff like that, because like they just don't stop doing it,
Yeah. And I will say too, like you do have to be talented, which is the other thing that like we have. I mean, like, Mike, yes, he was making videos every day, but Mike also knows a fuck ton about vintage Cartier and had a ton and was explaining, was teaching. And like, it wasn't just like, hey, this is a cool watch in the same video. This is cool. Like he was, he does know his shit. And like you also are a good musician and you're making good songs, which goes back to, I don't know, like how much of this stuff do you think is rooted in you just like playing Beatles songs with your dad?
Oh man. I think it's all rooted in that, to be honest, because like when I started playing,
like when did you start playing guitar?
I started playing guitar when I was 11 years old.
Good age.
I might have been 10. I don't like it was 10 or 11. And I got
But you played on an adult sized guitar.
Adult-sized guitar, yeah. Because like the whole thing was that my dad was like, I don't want to buy you a guitar because he's a musician. He plays piano and he plays guitar and stuff like that. And he was like, I don't want to buy you a guitar until you have hands that are almost as big as mine, right? Just from a financial
you need
standpoint.
22 frets.
It makes sense, in my opinion, Yeah. And then when I turned 10, my hands were about like actually the same size as his. And so like he's like, okay, I'll just do it. And then
you're 10. Let me see the size of your hands.
No, my hands are still bigger than like they're longer than my fingers are longer than his, which is why I think that he's definitely more of a piano player than a guitar player. But anyways, he bought me the guitar, and then like from that point on, it just like that was it. Like that was the thing that I cared about more than anything. Like who
did you want to be when you started playing guitar?
When I started playing guitar, like the only music that I really knew was the Beatles. Like when I first started playing guitar, like literally like the only like music besides like, what was popular at the time. Like I liked Eminem, but that's not guitar music. And I liked 50 Cent. That's not guitar music, And then like starting guitar at that young age, you start to like try to, you start realizing like, oh, like how crazy the Beatles songs like actually are, And so I was trying to learn them as a kid, and I would just try to like pick out like the song. What
was the first Beatles song you learned?
The first Beatles song I ever learned was a song called "Do You Want to Know a Secret," which is off "Please Please Me." Right? Great
George
song.
Harrison song.
Great song. Yeah. And that was the first song I ever learned, and that's how I learned how to play bar chords because it's all bar chords. And then after that, like my dad is like he's only likes the Beatles. It's like Beatles and Bob Dylan. That's it. Like, I mean, he likes the Stones and stuff like that too, but it's like those are the ones that we listen to. We listen to Beatles songs, we listen to Dylan songs and stuff like that. And he specifically, his favorite era of Beatles, I think, is 65, like Rubber Soul, late 65, like Rubber Soul into Revolver. Like those are his two favorites, Revolver and Rubber Soul. But he only really listened, like when I was a kid, like he only really listened to the American ones, which were different. I'm pretty sure like the American ones had different tracks on it, like track listings for Rubber Soul, at least.
Yeah.
And because I remember there was like an American tape of Rubber Soul that we had We Can Work It Out on there. And like, I want to say Day Tripper as well. And then so like, that was why when I heard that when I was a little kid, I was like, oh man, like hearing Day Tripper, you're like, that's a riff. Like that, or no, I remember like hearing that in the car and I was like, what's that called? Like, what is he playing called? Like, what is that? He's like, oh, it's called a riff. And I was like, okay. And then I like tried to learn how to play it. And like, I started playing it and I got obsessed with like that song, specifically like the guitar tone of that song and like the distortion. And then when I started getting really into Revolver, it's like Revolver has like the craziest guitar tones, you know, at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking up the different mixes here. For Rubber Soul, the UK version has 14 tracks, while the US version has 12.
Okay.
The US version has I've Just Seen a Face and It's Only Love
Right.
from the UK's album Help.
Right.
And the US version removed Drive My Car, Nowhere Man, What Goes On, and If I Needed Someone.
Which one has Day Tripper on it? There's an American.
Day Tripper.
I feel like there's
an
an American version of a Beatles record that has Day Tripper on the record, and that's why like I knew it.
Yeah, Day Tripper. Oh man, this is where it gets crazy nuts. Yeah. This is honestly my kind of podcast.
Yeah. The deep dive,
like
the nerd deep dive.
Yeah, the deep dive. Like Day Tripper. What was on? It was on the album Yesterday and Today.
Okay, that's it. That's the tape we have.
That came out in '66.
Yeah, that's the tape we have.
And Yesterday and Today is the album that
it's the Butcher.
Yeah, it had the Babies on it. Yeah. That was just like people just lost their shit over.
Man, I have a vinyl of that. I don't know if I told you about this, but when I was like a kid, my sister found one at, I don't know where she found it. It was definitely like pretty expensive. And we're pretty certain that it is the one that has the sticker of the replacement cover on it. So like we can't take it off because it's so old that like, but you can like shine a light through it and you can kind of see it. And so that's why we think that it has the Butcher cover underneath, but it's just like, I've never played the vinyl either. It's like just in my house, but.
I looked at a graded version of the Beatles Yesterday and Today because now like card grading companies are grading music.
Okay.
I mean, it's not that new, but they're like starting to do it.
It makes sense.
And the Butcher cover is like, I think it's like $5 or $6 grand.
I believe
which is crazy because they pressed
millions.
It's like a millions.
Yeah, maybe not millions, but like a lot, you know. Enough that there was an uproar, you know?
Yeah. I mean, okay. They pressed at least over $100 grand.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot. But anyway, it's crazy with that stuff. But that is a very, very good era of Beatles because I think it's also before they got super cocky and they also still were collaborating more versus, you know, White Album and Abbey Road and even like Sgt. Pepper and all that other stuff. They're just like writing songs in different rooms, you know?
And there is definitely, you can hear the animosity between them, which is pretty interesting. But again, like later, like in middle school, I got really into the White Album. Like that was the one that I was like, oh, this is a...
What was your song? What was your White Album jam?
Okay, there's two. And I feel like at that point in my life, I was more of a Lennon guy. Like I think, you know, the Lennon spoke to me because I don't know, I was reading like all these interviews with Kurt Cobain, like stuff about how he was obsessed with John Lennon and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, John, one thing that it's important to note, I got to like do a little side quest here. From a very early age when I started getting into music and like started listening and started like researching bands and stuff like that, I always was into a band and then would look at who the band's influences were and then just get really into the influences instead because I was like,
I'm going to outsmart the band.
Yeah. I was like, why would I listen to the copy of it? You know, like for example, like I got really into Pantera when I was in like 6th or 7th grade. Right. And then I was reading about how Pantera was obsessed with Black Sabbath. And so that was when I got obsessed with Black Sabbath. And I was like, I don't need to listen to Pantera anymore because Black Sabbath's better, you know?
Oh, okay.
Well, it's a different
strokes.
Thing. But I got more into Black Sabbath. Like I got obsessed. I got obsessed with Black Sabbath. And so in this scenario, like with the Kurt Cobain thing, I got really into Nevermind. And because of like the Nevermind thing, I was like reading about the John Lennon, like how they like tricked him into singing multiple takes of vocal because like, they're like, oh, well, John Lennon did it on Hard Day's Night. Like you should do it. And then he would do it because of that. Right. And so I got really into the songs that were like seemingly influences on like Nirvana. So like the songs on White Album that I got really into were Happiness is a Warm Gun and Sexy Sadie and Cry Baby Cry. Those were the 3 songs that I was obsessed with when I was a kid.
Never would have picked those.
I just
never
think
in a million years.
There's a guitar lick in the middle section of Cry Baby Cry that I think is one of the best recorded guitar licks of all time. And there's several Beatles like guitar things that I'm like, nobody can play guitar like that. Like actually, you know? And I don't know why like I feel that way. And I don't have any like actual empirical evidence as to why like why it's nice or why it's good. But that guitar lick in the middle of it's like in between verses on Cry Baby Cry.
Is it a Harrison part?
I think it's a Harrison. It might be a McCartney. It kind of doesn't, because like that era of Beatles is interesting because like you can kind of tell who's playing like the leads. If it's like really smooth, then it's definitely Paul. And then sometimes if it's like a little jankier but like more emotional, it's George. And so like there's another one like on Abbey Road on the guitar solo in Carry That Weight, which is like right before the reprise of You Never Give Me Your Money. I think that's a George Harrison solo, if you know what I'm talking about. And like, I think that's the best guitar solo, like one of the best guitar solos ever recorded because of like how like it's just so. You
mean that
good.
sort of like no, not that
part. The part that's like But like I don't know who played that. I don't know. You know.
Well, did you ever get the book Recording the Beatles?
Is that the Jeff Emmerich book?
I think so. I mean, if people don't want to hear this, you can just skip forward. But like, there is a book called Recording the Beatles. Mm-hmm. I remember the book came out in like 2005 or 6.
Okay.
But the big thing about it was, to zoom out for listeners, at Abbey Road and at previous recording places like in that time, you would have your engineer chart. Mm-hmm. And then engineer chart, they would document every single thing. And it would be literally a piece of paper, and they would draw where everything was. So this person was here, this person was here, and then they would draw where the mics were. Mm-hmm. Because basically what would happen is a lot of these studios, for folks that didn't know, it wasn't even like try to preserve some sort of greatness. It was like, oh, we might have to move this.
Right.
There might be another person or another band that's going to come in at a different time. And we need to remember, if we want to go back to this take or try to do another thing, where the mics were. So who sat where,
right.
who sat. So all of this stuff was done. And because Abbey Road required everything to be saved, and EMI required this too, you had all of the what mic, where it was, what day, what time, what setting it was on the amps, what guitar was used, every single thing. So yeah, Emmerich, who is the lead engineer mm-hmm. of the Beatles at the time, and is like the legendary engineer,
right.
had all this stuff written out. And so in the book Recording the Beatles, they had like everything that was pulled out, and then almost every single song from from almost like their entire catalog. Because I think it was, and it was like a Kickstarter book or something like that at that time. But anyway, my buddy got it, and it was like a $500 book. And all of us, and this is like, I just moved to New York like a couple of years before that. And I was like, dude, homie paid that much money for something. And I remember looking through it, and you could see all of the charts, and you could look through everything. And like, we were trying to copy it for like my record and stuff, where it's just like, oh yeah, we're going to stand here, or we're going to put, because they would do things where they would put microphones in like coffee cans and all sorts of stuff like that to try to get different sounds. Or you'd put a microphone near a Leslie speaker or whatever. And it was just like the most mind-blowing shit ever. And like, to me, whenever I like get super Beatles nuts, like I always go back to that book. Dude, yeah, I have a copy because it's out of print.
Okay.
I can send it to you. It weighs like 20 pounds.
I'll
find
it.
You
need to crack that thing open.
Yeah, dude, it's cool. It's cool as fuck. Like it's a wild book. It's probably like one of the few things I would just like never get rid of.
I was having this conversation with the A&R at the label that signed us. His name's Samir, right? Good guy, great guy.
Yeah.
And he's not a Beatles guy. And he was like asking me about like why Beatles? Like why what about it is like crazy to you? And I said like, and I think about this a lot, especially being in the music industry now. And it's like, not even talking about the songs, right? Not even acknowledging the songwriting or like any of the recordings or like any of that. Just like the model that they created is like, that's why why the music industry is the way it is now, which is like the craziest thing to me about how like the way that the tours happened, the way that like the records like were put out, everything like that was like unprecedented before they came out and before like the whole industry moved into their realm because of that. And I think that's like the thing that's like unfathomable. And like the other thing about it is the sheer scale, because like no one will ever be that big. Like that's the thing that's like insane to me.
Yeah, that was the last real monoculture.
Like this is the thing. It's like now there's so many different like avenues and stuff like that with other types of culture and music and art and stuff like that. But like back then, it's like, yo, they put a record out and they played it on the radio every day on loop for like weeks. Like my dad said, when like the White Album came out, there'd be stations that would just play the White Album like on repeat all day, right? And like Sgt. Pepper all day in like the 60s, you know? And it's like, that'll never happen now. Like nobody, like no one cares about like, yeah, Justin Bieber put out Swag. I like that record, but it's like no one's doing that. Like, no,
right.
like
That's the crazy thing now. It's like, yeah, you look at like the air quote biggest artists in the world, like people like Bieber and whatever. And it's like, I don't know, like that doesn't get that type of engagement or viewing or listening or whatever. And it's like, I always go back. So I read this Mel Brooks book and he wrote for Sid Caesar, who was like this legendary like comedian. But there was a show called The Show of Shows, and this is in the 1950s.
Okay.
And this is like the monoculture thing, right?
Yep.
So the weekly viewership of Show of Shows was the majority of the United States, and it was close to 70 million people. Like that's fucking crazy. Nobody watches, not even that many people watch the Super Bowl or anything like that. Like, so it's like when you think of like how laser focused the whole world was, you know, in this time, or the whole US was at this time, you know, like it's nuts. Yeah. So, I mean, the Beatles will never happen again. It's just, I don't know,
like
man.
One of the funny things is like the closest, like this, what's funny about it is that this Oasis reunion is like probably the closest thing for like a rock band, that just because of the fact that, I don't know, like here's another thing. Like, I don't want to, you know, inflame too much here, but I'm going to do it a little bit. Okay. Just because of the fact that it's like, dude, when I was in middle school, I liked Oasis, okay? I liked Oasis a lot. I thought that Wonderwall was a great song. I thought that Champagne Supernova was a great song. I thought that all those, like on that record, were great songs, right? And that was already, at that point, that was 10 years after it came out, right? And so it was already a meme, like, well, pre-meme.
Yeah, because it was like 95, 96.
Yeah, this was in like 2004 when I was into it, right? People made fun of you for liking Oasis back then. People made fun of you when I was in high school for liking Oasis. We were like, oh, you like that stupid song, like Wonderwall? That song's stupid. And now everyone's walking around with their bucket hat and they're going to the shows and drinking beers and stuff like that, as if you didn't make fun of people for listening to it back then. And that's why it's like, yo, like, what is going on now? Like, what is, like, as someone who has always been obsessed with Liam and Noel, back, like, even like still, to see that, I'm like, yo, like, what's going on here? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand why, like, first of all, who... Okay,
he's cooking.
You didn't like I just wonder, like, when did it turn on for you? Like, when did you realize this was like a good song? Like, now you like it, but like back then, dude, I legitimately remember in middle school people making fun of me for liking Wonderwall, because I put Wonderwall in a PowerPoint presentation at school, and people were like, "Oh, like you like that song? That song's terrible." You know, and it's like, well, what do you like? What you like Coldplay? Coldplay's the same thing. It's the same thing.
That's true.
You know, and I like Coldplay.
Oasis was trying to be the Beatles.
Exactly.
You know, there's your reference. You get into Oasis, you try to see what they want.
How are you hating on it? And also, people made fun of you for liking the Beatles when you were in middle school. You're like, the Beatles? You don't like this Red Hot? You should listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers record that just came out. This record's great. Stadium Arcadium. That's a great record. And it's like, no, like one half of it's good, like really good. You know,
that did happen to my daughter, where she was talking to a friend of hers at school, and I overheard this, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I listened to the Beatles with my dad," and she was like, "The Beatles?"
Yeah.
She's like, "Aren't they all like dead?" And my daughter, very correct, she corrected them, and she was like, "Well, two of them are alive." She's like, "One of them got shot, and the other died of cancer." And I'm like, "That's correct." And she's like, and also she's like, "They're kind of the best band of all time." So,
yeah.
And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, Harriet, that's right." School that Olivia Rodrigo loving punk.
You know, that's the other funny thing about it too, is that like well, there's two things I'm going to say. One thing about the Beatles, like you can't, like, how are you going to like talk shit about the Beatles? The Beatles were so big that when John Lennon got shot, he was assassinated. That's an assassination because of how public of a figure he is. Like, that's insane, like, to think about. That's true. Right? And then number two is that like when people, the further you remove from the pop thing is when people start realizing that it's cool, right? And so like, look at like with like, you know, I actually really do like pop music now. I respect it as a craft. It's definitely, you know, there is artistry required, but I don't know if it's like how much of the artistry is required in a pop setting. But like, there is something to be said. If a song gets that big, like, yeah, of course, like pop major labels and stuff like that spend a lot of money to like promote these songs and like put them on the radio and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like the song is catchy enough that it does catch, right? And so like there's something like
Agreed.
really like fascinating about the pop philosophy, right? And so like the thing that's funny about it is that like, yeah, Oasis was a pop band, right? Like, yeah, they're rock based, but like Wonderwall's a pop song. All their other hits are pop songs, right? And it's like, yeah, 10 years removed from when the record comes out, and it's like people make fun of them and like people make fun of you for liking it. But then like by the time it gets removed another 10, 15 years, it's like, oh, it's niche again, right? It's the same thing with the Beatles, where it's like at the time people probably hated on the Beatles because how big they were. I read this book about Black Flag, and like the quote was, they kicked a member of the Sex Pistols out because he liked the Beatles. And that at that point, that story happened in 1974, right? So that's 10 years after like the onslaught of like the Beatle pop thing, right? And now it's like you can't really hate on someone for liking the Beatles now. It's like niche again, you know, like because it's like it's old, it's so old. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, but at the same time, like you can't like deny like how good like all those songs were, you know? And that's my argument. It's like, well, who cares if it's pop? Like, who cares? Who cares? Like with Oasis, again, like not to keep going on this. I just got sick of seeing the bucket hats because I was like, yo, people made fun of me for having an Oasis shirt.
They were selling Oasis shirts at Sears with Sonic Youth shirts. I remember that. I would go to Sears
back
when
in the
I was
day.
a kid.
Yeah, for sure.
And they had Sonic Youth merch and Oasis merch.
Yep.
And in the Levi's section, it was like, here's cool teenage clothes.
Yep.
And I remember I was pissed because they didn't have a Bush shirt.
That's sick. Bush is sick though.
Okay, final question, and we'll wrap the Beatles stuff.
Okay.
But we'll move on to something else. Ready? Okay. John or Paul?
Okay. This is a tough question, and I actually think about this a lot. So I think that during the Beatles, so we're talking 1962 to 70, I was all John, okay? But if we're factoring in solo careers, it's Paul.
Okay.
It's Paul. It has to be Paul. Because like Paul...
Well, you got to end... If you're doing it then you have to end the solo career when John is unfortunately assassinated.
Yes, I don't really like John's solo career. That's also
it's not recorded well, and there's not really...
There's definitely some bangers. Like you can't like deny. Like there's some bangers on there. Like I love the song Just Like Starting Over. I think that's a great song. That's like a Beatles-esque song. I like the song Well, Well, Well a lot. Which is from I think his first solo record, the one with him sitting on the tree. There's also some unfortunate titles on that record, so that's another thing. But I think that, dude, like I've like really, as I've gotten older and like listening to like their solo careers, Paul really has just put out a lot of really good music. Like
Wings is like, dude, Wings is on its own is incredible.
Sick. Super Band on the Run. That's an amazing record. Like I'm not even if he wasn't a Beatle, it's an amazing record, you know? And it's like true. McCartney too, amazing record. Ram, amazing record, right? Yeah, he did, you know.
Ram, amazing?
I like Ram a lot. Uncle Albert, song rocks, okay? Song rocks. You know, but at the end of the day, like they really were the best together. So you can't deny the power of the Lennon-McCartney thing, you know?
Yeah. That's true. Let's move on to some John's talk.
Okay.
So you've been touring.
Mm-hmm.
You got a record that's coming out soon.
Yep.
You got a couple tracks out now. Talk to me about the tour fits.
So these days, I'm like really fixated on wearing the same thing a lot. Like I want to like pack light. Like touring is hard, and also like it's hard to feel comfortable. So like if I find like a set of clothes that I like and feel like comfortable in on stage and off stage. Like I've never been the kind of guy to change into a fit for a show. Maybe that'll change one day, but like as of right now, like no, I'll wear the same thing during the sound check. I'll wear the same thing on the way there. Like, you know, so probably some I've been really into jeans again. I had a moment where I was away from the jeans. I'm back in on the selvage, okay? I have a pair of samurai jeans that I wore on the tour last year, and they got cooked. I still wear them, but they're like, I kind of want to like wear a new pair of raw jeans when I go out, like at the beginning, and then just kind of like chronicle it a little bit, you know?
So what are you getting?
I got a pair of Ironhearts. They gave me a pair of Ironhearts. And so I,
which ones?
634. the straight.
Oh,
Like we're not look the baggy thing. I think baggy's done. Okay, I'm just gonna say it right now. I think it's done. I think it's cooked. I think baggy's over.
blasphemy.
I think that and again, this goes into pop music too. I think that when a brand like H&M starts making baggy jeans, then baggy selvage jeans, that like it's in trend category or territory.
Well, what defines baggy? Because I actually did an interview about this with this press outlet the other day, and I was like pushing back on them because I was like, well, what is baggy? If you were a person that wore really tight jeans, a 501 is baggy. Like honestly,
no, I agree.
So,
I agree with that. I think that my definition of baggy is when you like go on the website and they call it like skater jean, or they call it like it's like comically baggy. Because like, dude, I think at the end of the day too, the thing that this goes back to even the beginning of our conversation, I've worn the same style of clothes since I was 15 years old. Like it's literally always a flannel, always a t-shirt, and jeans that are either straight or loose. Right. And so like when the baggy, I also didn't really like lean into the baggy thing. I was just wearing, also like I'm a bigger guy. So like I'm wearing clothes that don't necessarily even look baggy, even though like on a normal sized person, it'd be like loose, like the leg. Right. And so.
Okay. All right. Sure. Fine.
My opinion is that, or at least for me, I'm just going to wear straight leg jeans again. Right. And so like I'm
wearing 316 RS right now.
I mean, the 316 RS to me is probably the perfect cut of jean, right? But on me, they don't look baggy. They look like it's like a normal jean on me. Like there's like videos of me wearing it, and it's just like, dude, it's
true.
Just
I size down.
You size down, okay?
It's more 501. Yeah, I sized down on it a tiny bit because I didn't want it hanging off my waist too much. More or less because I want to wear it with a sport coat. But that's anyway,
no, it's valid. Super valid. Like I have 2 pairs of RS. I have the vintage wash. Those are my favorite of those.
That's what I'm wearing right now.
That's the perfect cut. And I have the raw ones, and the raw one.
Well, on the Ironheart, did you get the 21 ounce?
21. Yeah.
That's crazy. Are you still wearing that? Well, it was like that weird, purposely misconstructed like denim jacket. It was a sugarcane thing, but it was like made wrong.
Yes, I still wear that. That's my favorite.
It's the sickest jean jacket I've seen in ages. It's better than après. It's better than anything. I mean, it's so good.
That jacket is, man. When it first showed up, I was like, dude, this thing is like actually next level. It's called the Sugarcane Collectibles number 43.
Oh, it's sugarcane. Yeah. See, sugarcane is still kind of the best, man.
It's an expensive one.
Is it?
Yeah.
How much is it? Hit me.
I think
it's $500.
$500, but that's the new one. The old one was
and it's all sold out.
The new one doesn't have the clippings on it, like this stuff. You know what I mean? So
it doesn't have like the stuff hanging off of it.
Yeah, it doesn't have the extra like tassels.
Oh, the new one's $575.
Yeah, well, that's that tariff hitting. Well, not yet.
Yeah,
but a tariff potentially.
Yeah,
it's just
damn.
It's that jacket to me is everything that I want about like a denim jacket, because my whole thing with like denim is that it's a very utilitarian object, right? It's probably the perfect piece to wear in any weather. Like I even like wearing denim. Like, this may seem like blasphemous, but I like wearing denim in the rain.
Go on.
I think that if the denim is thick enough, it like doesn't soak through in a way.
And if you're wearing Ironheart, I'm wearing some 12, 13 ounce things, and when it rains, I'm wet.
Yeah. I feel like, especially in New York. So this is part of my like jean thing. This is why I'm back on the jean thing. Okay. I was wearing like, how annoying it is in the rain in New York when you're, like you're wearing your Arc'teryx jacket. You don't want to have an umbrella. Umbrellas are whack, right? Umbrellas are like are a little lame.
Okay.
So I'll put my Arky on, right, and I'll be walking around, and I was wearing a lot of. Like at that point, when I made this change back into the denim world, I was wearing a lot of like chinos and stuff like that, right? And the Arc'teryx jacket would beat up the water and roll it down onto the pants, okay? And then the pants would get wet around the like thigh and crotch area, which is not the best place to have wetness appear. And
for sure,
that point I got kind of annoyed with it. It also wouldn't dry that quick. Like, but again, this is just rain, like I feel like I prioritize so much of my life, like avoiding rain. I hate rain. I like rain when you're inside. Like that's nice. But
I was
like,
gonna say you should move to the suburbs because then you just walk inside. But then you don't have a runway, man.
yeah, I don't have
most of your fits are just hoodies and jeans, and you're not like getting to really flex.
Yeah, but that's the thing with like, okay, with clothes specifically, right?
Yep.
You're saying hoodies and jeans. That's what I wear all the time. And that's, that's the way that I like to flex because I'll have like, I'm also, okay, not to be that guy, I'm back on Supreme. Okay. I think we talked about this like, a different time, but
Supreme is a brand that no one, you hate it for a season and you're like, it's actually really good.
I had several years.
It's like Visvim.
I had several years where I was a hater, pure hater.
Yeah, they always welcome you back with open arms with good shit.
Man, it's like, so right now, like my real flex, I have 2 Supreme hoodies that I'm obsessed with. So like when the fall happens, it's over. I have the
What's Supreme hoodies?
Aphex Twin Supreme hoodie. People were hating. There's definitely some people that are close to me that were hating.
Yeah, that sat for a bit.
They were hating. Yeah. But when that got removed from the stores for some sort of copyright issue, that's what someone told me. I don't know if that's I don't know if that was valid or if that was just a PR campaign. I don't know. Okay.
Then
that was when people were like, "Whoa, that's a crazy piece," right?
I think it got removed because no one bought it at first.
That's interesting.
That's my take is that it got removed because no one bought it, and
then they spun it.
It's bad optics to have anything sit for too long at Supreme, and no one was flipping it either.
And then here's the real flex. The real flex one was the. I got a box logo hoodie. I don't know if I told you about this or I don't know if you've seen it.
No.
I got a box logo hoodie last year.
Oh boy.
And
okay. Which one?
Gray with the gray box, right? That one is the real flex in my opinion, because like, that's like,
what's a BOGO cost these days?
I mean, I got it at retail. So it was like 160. Yeah. Like,
okay.
Pretty good.
I'm looking this up right now.
I don't know how much it is.
As we speak.
Resale. It's got to be a little bit more resale because that was the most hyped one, the gray. And
well, I mean, I think that's why we're talking on it. So, okay, I will be honest. A BOGO hoodie right now is about, if you want a large or an extra large, you're at $275 or $300.
That's not bad.
Which I can't believe I'm saying this. That's not bad at all.
Bad. I mean, it's not like the peak when they were like you could flip them and immediately get like $600 back then.
You get 500.
Yeah. I remember like there was like some of the ultra hyped BOGOs that were like there was like the one like the American flag one. Do you remember that one?
Yeah,
I remember people were selling that for like $1,500. Like that. Again, that was when I hated Supreme. Okay, that was like in that era where I was like, dude, nobody like because also like coming from skateboarding, like I was resentful of people who were buying it that didn't skate, and I was like, dude, this is stupid. Like I don't know. But
I don't know anyone that skates and wears Supreme. Like I never knew a person that skated and wore Supreme. Even when I would go back and when I would go into the Supreme store in like 2004.
Yep.
And you were just like, yeah, I mean there would be 2 people skating there, and most of it they were whatever. But it's anywho.
I just feel like, when I was like a kid at the skate park, like in high school, people were like really into the Supreme decks, right? And
the decks for sure.
The decks were also like, and as a skater, I was like, man, like, I appreciated the fact that like you could get a deck really easily from them and they were cheap, right? At the time. Like back then, like I think that like normal decks. How much were they back in 2011? That was my peak of skating, like 2010, 2011.
They were $50.
Yeah, and I feel like that was when skate brands started charging like more. Like they were like getting like I remember like there were some decks back then that were like 75 back then. And then
I think it was never that expensive to get a deck.
And so like and no one was buying the Supreme decks back then. And then they started doing all the the collabs and stuff. Like there was a Mark Gonzalez deck that got really expensive back then.
Yeah, because then people were getting them like art. I mean, that was the thing where it was really popping off.
I could just go off on them for so long because that was another one of the things where I got really into.
Here we go. This is what I wanted to pull up. Okay. So in contrast on the hoodie thing, while we're talking, if you want a new, this is tariffs for sure. If you want a new Noah hoodie, which is in stock as we speak right now, the Noah Skull and Crossbones hoodie, which in my opinion is a pretty badass hoodie, that is $198. So if you want to pay $50 more, you can get a BOGO. That goes to show you how Cook Supreme kind of still got, and now it's like a vibe to be back on board.
Yeah.
and like be an adult.
Yeah. That's the thing. It's like I feel like I'm like I don't know. I read somewhere, I saw somewhere the other day someone posted this on like a Instagram story or something. It's like being like an adult now is just buying the stuff when you were 12 that you wanted, and it's like that's my life.
Hello,
now.
I have Pokemon cards at my desk.
It's like now it's like dude, like I'm just obsessed with all the stuff that I was like that I wanted when I was a kid. Like with guitars, I can
reclaiming your youth.
I can justify the guitars because I can like, play shows with them and stuff like that. But like
it's kind of your job. Yeah.
With
fair.
certain things, it's like I can't really justify. Like I haven't been like, man, I haven't like really gone all in on the shoes that I wanted when I was 15 yet.
Yeah, that's fleeting. You don't want to do that.
But like shoes also like, I don't know, like as you get older, it's like, not that old.
You got to find places to put them. That's where like the advantage of living in New York really helps, because you're like, there's no place to store this.
Right.
And like at my house now,
right.
I've been stupid because I'm like, I have multiple rooms, and it's like, I don't live in a mansion, but I definitely don't live in the tiny apartment that I used to live in. And you're just like, okay, there's space over here to put shoes. I got space. And now I look around and I'm like, what the fuck? Like what?
Right.
Half the stuff I get, I'm not even wearing.
Right.
I'm not even wearing shoes. I just wear Birkenstocks all day.
Me too. That's my whole problem was the Birkenstock thing. But at the same time, I still want to cop I'm really wanting to get a pair of vintage sneaks from Rick Owens for the tour. But then at the same time, like optically, it's a little troubling to me. Like I don't really, obviously.
No. We're not even going to get into that thing where you think people aren't going to respect you because you're wearing big dog shoes.
Yeah, is that cool or no? I don't know.
I think if you're going to be a rock star, you still got to look like a rock star.
Okay. Okay.
And that's like when I was playing. Now I sound really old. When I was playing, and we would do a show at Mercury Lounge, I thought I was a badass because I was wearing Tom Brown shirts, and not a single person cared. And even I would have people like after the show be like, "Yo, you're wearing a Tom Brown shirt," and this is like 2009.
Yeah.
And yeah, or maybe even, no, this would have been 07. Fuck.
Yeah, it was early.
Yeah, 07, 08. This was like right when I was getting Tom Brown stuff. And yeah, I'd be wearing it on stage and like stage, right? I mean, this is Mercury Lounge, Cake Shop, pianos.
That's a stage, all right?
Yeah, it's a stage. It's a stage. So, and then I remember a guy was like, yo, was that a Tom Brown shirt? Because you could see the little,
tag.
100 Hudson, like big tag where they would write. And also, they were writing my name on it. It would say like Jay Kirkland, on the Brody Gann. Shout out Brody, who's probably still a Tom. Would write my name and his little kind of squiggly penmanship on the shirt. And I wore it, and I was like, "This is my fucking rock star shirt."
That's
who
a rock star vibe. That's in 07 too. That was like the peak of that look for the show, like the real rocker,
skinny shirts. Yeah,
but
they pop up on my Google Home sometimes, and I'm like, oh fuck, dude, it's like APC denim and Tom Brown shirts.
Dude, that's the vibe, though. That's you inspired me just now. I'm gonna dress.
Yeah, wear the fucking Rick shoes.
I'm gonna dress funnier. Okay, I'm gonna dress like the way that I want to dress.
I wouldn't say it's funnier, but I would dress. I wouldn't be afraid to wear some dope shit if you're on stage singing a song and people are there to see you. Yeah. It's not like people are not going to respect you because, you're
right. You're right. I'm already, like the guitars I play are definitely not like cheap either. So let's be real,
Yeah. And I think, it's fair. But that's the thing. And fun thing is it comes back to Kia, because Kia would always say to me, he's like, yeah, like you got to be conscious, where a lot of times people want you to be successful, but oftentimes they don't want you to be more successful than them.
Right. Right.
Right. But it was true. I mean, he was right, because he was just like telling me like, yeah, man, because I remember someone had like called me out because I had a watch or whatever. And they're like, oh, your podcast. And it's like, yeah. I fucking, but it's like, you're always going to have some goober who's going to try to call you out on something.
Well, there's, it's also like, there is like a thing about like where you like, if you like it, like whatever, like that is a priority to you, and you did that because you like that. So like, you're right. I should get the shoes.
Get the shoes.
You're right.
All right.
I'm going to get a Les Paul too. I'm going to get a Les Paul.
Well, you're kind of you're about to become like a Gibson ambassador, or whatever they're calling it. A Gibson testimony.
I don't know what they're calling it, but I hit them up again because I want to get a Les Paul. So like, I'm going to do it.
Which Les Paul are you going to get?
I want to get a 50 standard figure top in like the honey amber. So it's like the burst, like a 50.
Is that the soap bar?
No, it's a humbucker. I like the
Okay.
humbucker because I got obsessed with these amps, these Marshall amps, and they really sound good with humbuckers.
Fucking Slash over here with his Les Paul humbuckers and his Marshalls.
I think that, like, you know, I'm a Marshall guy now. I'm a Gibson guy now. Like, things have changed in the last 5 years. I was all in on Fenders, all in on that. But now it's like, look, there's people out there who make things for trend, and there's people that don't. And I'm trying to be a rocker, okay? And that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say, because, you know, like, you plug that amp in, you plug that guitar in, it immediately sounds like Oasis. And like, that's the thing that's like the people that made fun of me for it. But look at, they're selling bucket hats by the million now. Okay.
Well, you need an orange amp, right? Isn't that what he had? Or a high watt?
He plays a high watt, but, you know, it's close. It's almost the same thing.
Well,
Well,
fair.
Bonehead plays a Marshall though. So that's the other thing. On this tour, he's playing a Marshall JCM 900. So that's why it's like, you know, it's pretty close. But the JCM 900, that's the Bush amp. So there you go. That's the machine head
there
tone.
you go. That is. All right, Sean, thank you so much for coming on the show. Before we wrap, when's the record drop?
The record is going to come out on January 9th, I think. That's a Friday, I think.
And you'll be hitting the road soon too.
Yes, I don't know when, but I think by the time this comes out, we'll already have been on the road, but we'll see, which is fun.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks again, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, man. I'll see you.